What's up, my inspiration? If there's no enemy from within, then the enemy from outside can do us no harm. According to the National Science Foundation, the average person has between 12,000 and 60,000 thoughts daily. That's approximately 8 to 42 thoughts per minute. Now, approximately 95% of those thoughts they say are yesterday's thoughts. And to make matters worse, about 80% of those thoughts are negative. Now imagine tens of thousands of negative thoughts on a repeated loop, cycling through our minds day after day, poisoning our attitudes and perspective on life, one toxic thought at a time. And yes, I'm referring to that negative self-talk, that inner voice and dialogue about something that may have occurred last week, yesterday, or even years ago. Those toxic thoughts, misleading conclusions, or as I call them,
enemy number one,
keeping you from prospering in every facet of your very existence. Cognitive behavior therapists, in fact, call them ANTs. Automatic negative thoughts. These thoughts seem to actively work against the fabric of our well-being. And the reality is that in our journey through life, our greatest enemy, the one we will quite often fight the most, will often lie within. Now, the positive in this is that we still have an advantage. The advantage of focusing on one thought at a time. The power to identify, examine, challenge, combat, discard, and dismiss any thought not meant to serve us in a healthy and positive way. Now, in the practice of cognitive therapy, they talk about irrational and self-defeating thoughts that are known to influence our emotions, known as cognitive distortions. And cognitive distortions, as defined, are
thoughts that cause individuals to perceive reality inaccurately. These biased or distorted ways of thinking, if extreme, can lead to problems in one's emotional and behavioral state. This could include struggles with anxiety, low self-esteem, depression, anger issues, and even conflicts in relationships. Self-awareness and early detection, of course, are key components to overcoming any cognitive distortion one may face.
Now, after doing some research on different cognitive distortions, I came across as many as 20. And in this video, I'll cover the 10 most commonly known in the area of cognitive therapy, along with 2 I thought were worthy of mention. Not saying that the others were not. And they are:
1. All or nothing thinking. This occurs when someone sees things in terms of black and white categories. For this type of thinker, anything short of perfection is a failure. Example: you graduated with a bachelor's degree, but you view yourself as a failure because you earned a 3.8 GPA instead of a 4.0. For people with anxiety or depression, this often means only seeing the downside to any given situation.
2. Overgeneralization. This occurs when you view a single event as a never-ending pattern of defeat. The words always or never frequently appear in the sentence. Those who overgeneralize might also make broad interpretations from a single event. Example: you visit a store and have an unpleasant interaction with one staff, so you decide that everyone who works there is bad, it's a bad store, and you choose to never visit the store again.
3. Mental filter. A mental filter is when you pick out a single negative detail and dwell on it to the point of exclusivity. When thinking through a mental filter, a person is focusing only on the negative aspects of a situation and filtering out all the positive ones. As a result, your vision of reality becomes darkened, like a drop of ink discoloring an entire beaker of water. Example: you had a great vacation except that your luggage was lost for a few days on the way home, and that last part is all you focus on when you think about the vacation, or when people ask you about it.
4. Disqualifying the positive. This is an extreme form of all or nothing thinking in which we filter out all the positive evidence about our performance, and only attend to the negative. It is all or nothing thinking, without the all. If you've ever tried to talk someone out of a bad mood, you've probably seen this cognitive distortion from the outside. If you've ever been in a bad mood yourself, you may have seen it from the inside. This occurs when you reject positive experiences and insist they don't count for some reason or other. Thinking this way helps you maintain a negative belief that is contradicted by your everyday experiences.
5. Jumping to conclusions. Jumping to conclusions is one of the most common forms of negative thinking. The problem with this type of a cognitive distortion is that conclusions are in most cases negative. You usually jump to a negative conclusion without any justifiable facts of the situation or reality. There are two types of cognitive distortive thinking where you automatically jump to a negative conclusion. 1. Fortune-telling. You anticipate that a specific situation will turn out badly, no matter what you do. Example. Prior to having a job interview you're thinking, I'm not going to get the job. 2. Mind reading is about untested negative assumptions about people. Example. You assume that people will focus only on that one imperfection you have with your body.
6. Magnification. This is also known as catastrophizing or minimization. This occurs when you exaggerate or minimize the importance of events. For example, someone might mistakenly believe that their achievements are not important, or their mistakes are incredibly damaging.
7. Emotional reasoning. This occurs when you assume that your negative emotions reflect the way things are. Example. You feel unloved and unlovable after a breakup and believe this must be true.
8. Should statements. These occur when you believe that things should be a certain way. They can contribute to feelings of fear, worry, and put unreasonable demands or pressure on yourself. An example would be thinking that you should always be friendly.
9. Labeling and mislabeling. This is an extreme form of an overgeneralization, and it happens when you attach a negative label to yourself, such as thinking you are a loser.
10. Personalization. This occurs when you believe you are responsible for events outside of your control. You might also see yourself as the cause of some adverse external event, which you were not primarily responsible for. Example. Your supervisor is just mean, and you think that this is a reflection of your work or yourself as a person, even though he is mean to everyone.
11. Blaming. You hold other people responsible for your pain, or the opposite, you blame yourself for the problems of others. Example. You blame your spouse for forgetting to grab the gift as you are headed to a birthday party, when you left together, and you could have easily grabbed it. Or you blame yourself when your child doesn't do well on a test. Blaming can also be accompanied by that "you made me" statement. You made me mad. This distortion comes from believing that others have power to affect your life even more so than yourself.
12. Fallacy of change. The fallacy of change has you expecting other people to change their ways to suit your expectations or needs, particularly if you pressure or manipulate them enough. Example. You expect your partner to focus on you despite knowing that they've always been very social and value time with friends. So, every time they go out you let them know it's not okay with you. Eventually you know they will change their ways and stay home with you all the time. The underlying assumption of this thinking style is that your happiness depends on the actions of others.
Now, with that being said, repeat after me. My future can be better than my present.
My future can be better than
And
my
I have the
present.
power to make it happen.
And I have the power to make it happen.
Now, here's a helpful technique I came across that can assist with confronting our negative self-talk. SOS. Stop. Mentally tell yourself stop, to give you the opportunity to address the thought and interrupt the cycle. Observe. Observe what you are saying to yourself and how it is making you feel. And shift. Shift your cognitive, emotional, or behavioral response by using positive coping skills and techniques. Hopefully this technique helps, and I'll be covering several other helpful tools in future videos to come. So in closing, when we truly understand the power of our thoughts, we'll spend very little time on the negative ones. And just remember that in order to defeat our enemy, we must first know our enemy.
Enemy number one.
This is James Alexander, your mental health and wellness coach, aka your inspirational wordsmith, helping humanity rise one word at a time. And remember, words are free. It's how you use them that might be costly. Have a phenomenal day.
If you or someone you know is considering suicide, please contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK 8255, or text HELP to the crisis text line at 741741. Or go to suicidepreventionlifeline.org.